Alright, this is study 13 of our study in Galatians. Today we're going to finish chapter 3. We're going to look at verse 26 to 29. Before we do, we'll answer the questions for chapter 3, verse 19 to 25. So question 1 was about the purpose of the law. Israel was given the law of God from Exodus 20 onwards. The law declared God's holiness and moral demands. However, it also demonstrated man's inability to keep it. Just a few chapters after agreeing to the law, Exodus 24, Israel was completely rebelling against it in chapter 32. And they would continue to rebel against it throughout their history. Romans 3 verse 19 to 20 explains that the law brings the knowledge of sin. Because when someone honestly compares themselves to the demands of the law, they will realize just how disobedient they have been and just how impossible it has been for them to keep it. In other words, the law reveals just how desperately needy both Jews and Gentiles are for the promise. Question 2 then was, when would the law last until? The law was added 430 years after the promise was given to Abraham, and it was to function until the seed, Christ, came. We learned then that the law was a temporary measure. Question 3. The promise was given between God and Abraham. So God gave the promise to Abraham. And we see through the story of Abraham that God came down to him, spoke with him, and even ate with him. In Genesis 18 verse 1 to 8, you'll see that. But in Exodus 19, when Israel comes to Mount Sinai, it's not like that at all. They couldn't even touch the mountain or else they would die. And furthermore, God didn't come to speak with them directly. Actually, what happened is that the law was given to them by angels. You can see that in Deuteronomy 33 verse 2, Acts 7 verse 53, and Hebrews 2 verse 2. And then the angels didn't even come to the people of Israel. They give it to Moses, who is then to give it to Israel. What all this is trying to demonstrate, what Paul's trying to get at here, is that the law is surely not the perfect way to know God. I mean, how can it be perfect if God gives the law to the angels, who then give it to Moses, who then gives it to Israel? And how can it be perfect if there are conditions in it that Israel couldn't keep? No, what Abraham had was far better. He had intimate communion with God, and he had an unconditional promise from God. Question 4 then, the problem with the law. Once again, the law itself is good. The problem is that humans are sinners, and the law could not do anything about that. It could only reveal to us what we are, not change us into who we're supposed to be. Deuteronomy chapter 30 verse 6 says something amazing about this. One day, God would come and circumcise the hearts of the people so that they would truly love God and obey him. We don't need physical circumcision. We need spiritual circumcision. And according to Colossians chapter 2 verse 11, that is exactly what has happened to those who have trusted in Christ. So we're now in the end of chapter 3, verse 26 to 29, and there's one question. What 6 things are we, or have we, by faith in Jesus Christ? God bless.